Breaking Bad, here he is, RJ Mitte. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to Steel City Con. Y'all having a good time? Yeah? No, come on. Y'all having a good time.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, it's definitely a pleasure to be here today. You know, all y'all have been great. Everyone that I've met so far is awesome. I hope everyone's been able to meet everyone that they want to meet and get the autographs that y'all are looking for. Oh, I can talk a little. Talk a little.
Whatever you want.
He's got it.
I'll adjust.
You can turn it down. You can turn it a little down. I can talk a little louder.
How's that?
Perfect.
Good.
There we go. But again, it's great to be here. I love PA. I've been to Pittsburgh a couple of times and spent a lot of time in Lancaster. I don't know if anyone's from Lancaster, Amish town. But great state y'all have here and great people. So thank y'all for having me here.
Yeah. Well, it's so good to have you.
Definitely. Pleasure. Yeah. And I like the video. I like
the Charger scene just...
It's actually, you know, sadly, I only drove that car for about 30 seconds. I have my own muscle car. I have a 1969 Cougar. I love muscle cars, but sadly, they didn't trust me behind the wheel. I don't know why. I only crashed a couple of cars.
It's a great scene.
Yeah.
It's a really great scene.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was that was I think the first time you actually saw Walt Jr. and Walt not like turmoil.
Yeah.
Not like or not just these silent dead moments where they're just this nothing to do. That's like that first bonding moment. And sadly it was only short lived. But yeah.
Nice. So you want to take some questions from the audience? Any stories? Whatever.
Yeah, whatever y'all want. Y'all have any questions about Breaking Bad or any other shows I was on? I was on another show called Twisted Birth as well as Vegas. And having a couple of movies out right now. One called Triumph. Another one called The Oak Room, if y'all like psychological thrillers. About a man who walks into a bar telling a story about a man who walked into a bar of that story of that man who walked into a bar. It's a good story.
Nice.
But yeah.
All right. First question.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks for asking. I just wanted to know, what is your most fondest memory of working on the entire set of Breaking Bad? If you could pick one.
You know, I would have to say it's probably the first day I was on set. So I auditioned for the show 5 times over a 6-month period. 4 in Los Angeles and 1 in New Mexico. And flew to New Mexico and 6 a.m. got there, right? Went in immediately, did a test screening for Vince and with Brian and Anna. Turned around, climbed into my room, and went to sleep. And Vince called me about an hour later and saying, "Hey, you have the part. Pack your bags, go back to LA because you're late for work. We already started filming." And so I did that, and you know, I remember that first day on set, walking into this production, and you know, we had a cast and crew of 500. It was a massive production. It was my very first major speaking role, and I was just like in awe of like, okay, here we go. This is what's happening. And that first time on set through the pilot's my favorite episode. You know, we have some great episodes, but you know, to me, from the beginning, the middle, and the end of the pilot is a movie. You know, you could watch the pilot and you could be like, I'm happy with this. This is good. And you don't have to watch the rest of it. No, but you do. But like, to me, that pilot was that staple, right, for the whole show. And it was that first day on set, man. It changed everything. It changed my life. It gave me a career. It gave me so many tools and allows me to be here with you people. So can't complain.
That's great.
Okay. Another question for you right here.
Let's do it.
As an actor with cerebral palsy, do you feel like you sometimes get typecast, or is it something that you feel you could use to your advantage?
both, but if they'll write me a check for it. No, it's hard. I've worked a lot of my career trying not to just be the disabled character on television. There's not, you don't see a lot of people with disabilities in mainstream media. Breaking Bad really helped the community, the disability community, really capture a real life person on screen. That just happens to have a disability. Because that wasn't the end all be all for my character. It was a very small part of my character having a disability. The only reference really I made to it was initially calling my dad, sorry kids, a pussy for not dealing with his cancer. That was really the only reference of my cerebral palsy on the show, and it was a pivotal piece for that. And I think it's so important to have access, to have media, to have representation on television and film, because it alters our minds on how we view people. What we watch and what we see, what we ingest in our mind is really alters who we are and what we believe in and how we see each other. So I think it's so important to have that representation. At the same time, not only get cast as the disabled kid or the Walt Jr. lookalike characters, But if it's a good story, and I just shot this movie named Triumph, which has a character with a disability named Michael Coffey, which is based on a real person named Michael Coffey, and it's sometimes it's important to tell those stories, and not a lot of people like inspirational porn, that saying, and it's a thing, man. Inspiration porn's a thing, man, but to just be able to tell real stories and real people, and I'm very lucky in my career. I've worked with many different types of characters, not always being disabled, but always a little quirky and odd, and I like that. So it's a process.
We got a question back here. Now, since this guy's dressed as Walter White, I'm assuming that this is Walt Jr.
Yeah.
So he's got a question for Walt Jr.
What is your favorite episode?
Pilot, man. Pilot again. Pilot's literally my favorite, man. It changed everything for me. I really enjoyed the knife scene. There was a scene, I forget, is it Osmandius or something? I'm really bad with names on the show in this the selection. Like, just when and what happened, when and where. I know what happened, I just don't always remember. But the knife scene where Anna has a knife and she's going to go stab Brian with it, and there's a big fight with the family. That was a very fun scene. And the first take actually didn't go as well as we planned. Because in the scene, I'm supposed to grab Brian and I roll him off of Skylar, kind of toss him off of her. But my first take, instinctually, I just grabbed his belt buckle and his collar and threw him. They didn't really like that. So, but that was a fun scene. But again, the pilot's my favorite thing. It changed everything, and it allowed the show to grow because this show, Breaking Bad, was pretty much canceled every season. Wow. We didn't have the viewership, we didn't have the income. We were $2 million pretty much per episode. We even survived the writer's strike, and it was a very hard show to make because it just was so much detail in it too. But the critics love the show, the network loved the show, and the pilot is really our foundation and backbone for everything. So,
I have a quick question. How is Vince Gilligan to work with, opposed to a lot of the other directors you've been currently working with? Did he kind of spoil you?
Yeah. Sorry, what were you?
I just asked if it kind of spoiled you working with someone like Vince Gilligan and then moving on.
Yeah, Vince is a great writer. Peter Gold's cousin's here, and so Peter Gold's pretty amazing too. And they really have such a detailed-oriented story. And for me, I've never read a script as well as I've read Breaking Bad scripts. Just when it comes to detail-oriented and character development and the arc of a journey. Everyone in life. The reason why I believe an arc is so important is because everyone here has an arc. You have this beginning, this middle, and eventually you come to an end, right? And that's something that carries through everything. And a lot of shows lose their arc. Their arc starts really arcing, and then it goes or this or sideways. And then next thing you know, you're like, I don't believe in it that much because it's unbelievable. And as much as unbelievable Breaking Bad was, there was still human in it. There was still error. There were still these believable, unbelievable moments that were like, yo, I can't believe, but they're possible and unbelievable.
Believable.
Unbelievable. But he was a great director. You know, he directed the last episode of every season, and you know, we had an amazing DP named Michael Slovis, who was on Law and Order, and I think he's on New Amsterdam now, and really captured tones. And you know, I learned so much from the show when it came to cinematography, writing, directing, and producing. And you know, it really was a one-of-a-kind experience that we'll never, ever be able to recreate. So.
Okay. We got a question right here for you.
Yo.
So this is kind of a question about like television in general. Like, how often ahead do they tell you like the direction and story that your character or the show in general is taking ahead of like when you actually act out the scenes and all that kind of?
Not at all.
Oh, really?
No, you're blind. You go in, so like, yes, you kind of have a general idea of what's going to happen to your character, but really, for the most part, you don't know. Like you get on set. Like I've worked on many projects where they're like, oh yeah, your character's going to do this and this and this and this and this, and I get there and they're like, completely opposite. Everything I prepared for was just, nope, we're not doing that. We're cutting half the things and moving that over, and now your character's a bad guy. And I'm like, okay, cool. So like it really depends. And you know, in the beginning of Breaking Bad, we got a lot of our main scripts, half the scripts up front, and we were able to read it. And then about season 3, we had a leak. Someone on the set, and then because now it's different. Now no one cares about leaks, right? Now no one cares about taking photography. Now no one cares about, oh, I'm recording myself and we're on these private sets. No one cares anymore. But when I first started, you got fired and blackballed. Like, I remember a kid took a photo of a lead actress one time, and he was removed very quickly and a stamp over his like name. And that dude never worked again. Now they don't care as much because social media, you can't fight it. But really, it's when I was on the show, they would do it, and then eventually it was day by day, and you didn't really know what was happening until they gave you the script, and you read the script overnight, right? We got it, and we read the whole thing, and we're like, okay, wow, this is happening to us. It was the whole script. Yeah, someone leaked like season 4. Episode 6 or something like that, and it was someone, and I don't think they ever got caught, but then it just ruined everything. So and then we weren't even getting the full scripts at the end of the season. Everything would be most of the stuff would be redacted. You'd only get your individual parts, and wouldn't even have the other people's stuff. So, but for the most part, I don't read other people's lines. So no, I do, but I don't. Yeah.
All right, we got a question for you right here.
So, as far as you're allowed to tell us, have you been approached at all about appearing in the final season of Better Call Saul?
I don't know about that, but I want my own show. Right? I think Anna Gunn, Skylar, and Walt Jr. and Holly should have their own little show. I think that's the name of the game, because the way that I see it is, so you had Better Call Saul, right? Or you had Breaking Bad, which set the series, right? Set the tone. Then you have the journey of the lawyer going through the whole thing. And then now you have the lawyer dealing with the aftermath of what Walt left behind. And now you have this family that is stigmatized and controlled. And because when the DEA comes in, they seize everything. So anything that they had is viewed as profits of drug money. So you lose your home, you lose your car. They put you like in Section 8 housing. They monitor you, they regulate you, so that none of any of your old partners can get you. We work with the DEA, and I know a couple of people that had some not so wholesome family members, and they literally are in witness protection, and they've been in witness protection their whole life, and that's all they know. and they do what they say, and they check in with the family, and that's what you live with for the rest of your days. And that's what I kind of want to see the Walt Jr. Skylar version of that is like what's happening to them with the DEA, what's happening to them with the existing drug members. Because think about all the people that Walt killed, and now they can't kill Walt. So next best thing, kill the family, or try to.
But then you get all that money from gray matter.
See,
I
don't think they gave.
I believe you do.
I don't believe I do. Because think about this: if gray matter, they already stole gray matter from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they stole from Walt before. Why wouldn't they steal from him again? They have even more money now.
The hitman.
And it's in cash.
The hitman.
But real hitman? Come on now. I mean, but think about this. Think about anyone with a pile of cash and the guy that's threatening you dies. Well, I mean, is there really still a threat? The guy's not going to get paid, you know? Mm-hmm. That hitman may never come back. And again, DEA would monitor all of them. So how are they getting the cash? So I personally don't believe that gray matter, the family, would give or help the white family.
Shoot. Because I could just imagine you driving that Charger and having all that dough.
See, but then that would just, the DEA would look at that, though, and then be like, we know how much you make. Damn it. Because that's the thing, is they regulate how much you make or how much you're doing because they don't want the drugs or money that's been stashed for the family after the guy gets caught to get back to them. Because that's how they regulate it. So, like, if you show up 2 days later and you got a $50,000 car and you make $10,000 a year, that's going to look a little funny. That ain't right. Let's look at the books. Where'd you get the cash, buddy?
Oh, he just blew holes right through your story.
I know. I'm so much for my.
It's all good. You know, anything's possible. That's why it doesn't exist yet. So anything can happen.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Right back there.
Right back here.
Make you walk. But y'all having a good time? Everybody been able to meet? Yeah? Good.
How long have you been doing cons very long?
I have. I've been to quite a few conventions. You know, when Breaking Bad towards the end, we went to Comic-Con a couple of times and experienced that, and then the convention circuit just blew up and got invited to more, and I've been to conventions all over the world. I'm actually supposed to go to one in Lithuania, which got posted during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We're hopefully going to Lithuania next year, which I'm very excited about. Hopefully Russia doesn't move over there too far. But yeah, it's very exciting. I love conventions. I love fans. You know, I couldn't do what I do today without you guys. You know, you're the only reason why our shows continue and push forward is your viewership and your time and energy and love for our arts. Because at the end of the day, there would be no point really if no one's watching. So thank y'all. Yeah.
Question right here.
What was the hardest episode to film?
The hardest one to film. You know, I was in a controlled environment for the most part. Most of my scenes were very localized. But you know, the desert stuff I heard, and I went out a couple of times, and that was miserable. Man, I don't know if anyone's ever filmed in the desert or worn costumes in the desert, but I've done a lot of stuff where we're pretending it's winter and it's summer, and you're wearing like a sweater and it's like 95 degrees, and you're trying to look cold. That's pretty rough. But yeah, it varies. You know, we had a lot of technical stuff, so I think the hardest thing is really when we went over budget to continue to stay under budget. But you know, when you love what you do, the hardest days are the best days sometimes, because it pushes you. It makes you want to explore more. It makes you want to be like, oh my God, this is do or die, and we got to do this thing. And those hard days are rough, but it's so much fun, because if you have an easy day every day, you're going to devalue it. You're going to lose interest in it. And it's kind of like, well, what am I doing this for if I'm coming in and just stamping, just passing the paper and hitting the stamp? No, I rather have to write the paper and do the thing and make the paper, draw on it, write on it, and then stamp it. Call it a day. But we loved what we do, so every day was an easy day.
About the pilot, how was it like when watching that? What was your circumstances watching it when it first aired?
So I saw it at the premiere. It was wild. You know, I haven't watched Breaking Bad other than the first and last episode of every season. Because I really don't like to see myself, and if I'm part of it, no, I don't look. I got that Dorian Gray thing where I don't look in the mirror. I don't look at the painting of myself, or I'm just going to age rapidly. I'm like 137. I just don't tell anyone. But so the pilot though was a wild premiere, and everyone was just so ecstatic about it, and the support was unbelievable. I think we're on like the Paramount lot when it happened for the first one, or Sony one of the two. But you know, it was just that job. I was 13 turning 14 when I started the show, and I was 20 turning 21 when I finished it. And I'm 28 now, almost 30. But but it's so sad. Oh man, it's getting rough. I woke up and my back hurt, and then my knee. Never mind. Anyways,
I got a question for you.
Yeah,
AJ.
shoot.
So what prompted you to get into acting? How old were you when you first started acting? What made you decide that's what I want to do?
Money.
Yeah.
Money. But I didn't know how much I would have to pay in taxes. But so I moved out to Los Angeles for my little sister. Are there any actors in the room? Anyone trying to act? Come on. Yeah, raise some hands. I'm trying to act too. But hey, it's a grind, man. But I recommend to anyone that wants to get into the industry, sign up for extra work. It's an opportunity, if you haven't been on a set before, to get on a set and to have very minimal responsibility, which is very nice. But I started working as an actor when I was 12. My little sister, who wishes she could be here today, but she sent me a list of autographs I have to get. She loves conventions, and I think a few people that I know my sister here, but she got casted out of a water park, when she was one and a half. And an agent saw her and wanted to use her for a Luso Ball campaign. And we're like, sure, why not? My mom at the time was just in a car accident. She was partially paralyzed. And we were busy with a lot of family stuff, and everyone's sick and dying and all that shit. Good times. Builds character. But we were like, we need somewhere to go. We need something to do. So we got this opportunity to go to Universal Studios for the month. We weren't there for the month, but we were there for the month. And she was doing a Luso Ball campaign. I saw someone with an I Love Lucy shirt on earlier. But bright red hair, baby, 1.5. And if you're in Los Angeles and you don't go to school, you don't join a gang, and you don't act, you're not going to have friends. You're not going to know anybody. So I did what everyone does in LA and joined a gang, which was the acting industry. And I started as an extra. I was on Hannah Montana, Everybody Hates Chris, Weeds, Seventh Heaven, Drillbit Taylor. I was on about 13 mainstream shows and movies, all as an extra, within the first 6 months of starting acting. And again, though, I really recommend getting into extra work if you haven't gotten the mainstream part or want to start learning acting. It puts you on a set. It puts you on a professional set. It teaches you. You get to watch everything happening, and if you do it right, you might get bumped up. They might even give you a line. So that's definitely a win for that. A good way to segue into that. So that's what I started to do, to kind of meet kids my own age. Because again, I'm 13, 12 years old. Never been to LA before. From Louisiana, Texas. going yeehaw and y'all, and and yeah, it just turned into that. And then about 6 months into it, I got my very first audition for Breaking Bad. Then 6 months of auditioning, and it just right place at the right time. And the breakdown was perfect. Like the Walt Jr. breakdown was literally like it said, dark hair, big eyebrows, and mild cerebral palsy. I mean, I got all that. I got every that's me to a T. That's especially the eyebrows. Maybe not anymore. I'm losing them. Looked in the mirror, they were gray. I was like, oh shit. But
about how many people auditioned for your role then?
Oh, hundreds of thousands of people. This is the thing is when you audition for a role, you're not just auditioning against one or two people. You're auditioning against hundreds of people of all different shapes and sizes. And now it's even worse because it's more legally now. They have to do wider casting because of discrimination. But yeah, I remember there was this other actor going around town saying that they got the part, but I already filmed the pilot. And I was like, yeah, you got the part. I was like, man, I can't wait to see you start filming. And I already had the pilot done. And he wasn't really nice to me, so it was pretty funny to me. But yeah, so it was actually came down to me and one other local actor, because I was based in LA at the time, and he was based in Albuquerque. And it just happened that they liked me more, I guess, and got the job, and the rest is history. And it's been a wild ride, and we're very lucky to have the show. And I hope y'all are enjoying Better Call Saul because the legacy still lives on, and El Camino and all those and those amazing things, because we really have an amazing team there, and we loved what we did. We still love what we do, and I hope y'all do too. So
yeah, got time for one more question.
Yeah.
All right.
Right there.
Right over here. I was going to ask you if you had ever seen your TV dad, Bryan Cranston, as Dr. Whatley in Seinfeld.
I did. That's actually where I saw him first, and Malcolm. And I saw him on, he did, it was Vince's show. Vince was on the X-Files. Saw Bryan on the X-Files.
Oh, that's
too.
right.
He was a guy with a bug in his head, or he was in the car with a bug. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to keep it over. It was like that movie where you have to keep the speed, where you have to keep the bus over 75 miles an hour. But instead of the bus, it was his brain.
All right, we'll make this the last question of the Q&A.
No problem.
So how many times a day do you get called Flynn?
Oh, it happens. I'll tell you that. I don't know how many times, but it happens from time to time. I don't mind it. That's my job. People ask me, don't you hate getting recognized, or don't you hate dealing with this? And it's not always easy. Everyone, we're all flesh and bone. At the end of the day, everyone has bad days, everyone has good days, and everyone has everything in the middle, right? But when you have something like Breaking Bad, you do have an obligation to not just yourself, but to your fans and the community that surrounds your project. And I'm very grateful for the community that we have with Breaking Bad, because it's an A1 community. and it's just really, it made the show what it is today. We are a very niche community when it comes to Breaking Bad. We're not everyone's cup of tea, but it still echoes today, and it still carries on. And I'm just very grateful for what we do and what we have and all the fans here. So thank you all so much. And I saw a couple more hands. I'm right out that door. If you have any questions, don't worry about buying anything. Come say hello. Come ask your question. And yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here today and tomorrow. Head back to Texas Monday. So I hope everyone's enjoying your day. Thank you all for having me here.
Thank you for coming out. RJ Mitte, thank you so much. Make sure and visit his table and hang out.
Hi, this is Aaron Ashmore, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe like now. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.